What is going on, y'all? Welcome to Joel Friday TV. I am Joel Friday. Welcome to the show. A few announcements before we get started. Hit that like button, smack it, lay the smack down, and like, subscribe, and share button. Tell your peoples about the show so we get the subscribers up and a message out. Do it now. Help our brother out. As you guys know, we are live Monday through Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific time on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Punchy.tv. And at any point during the show, you can call in by calling 888-775-3773, 888-775-3773, and we can get into that stuff. You know the stuff. We can get into it. And if for whatever reason you can't call in, but you still have a question or comment, or you just want to support the show, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JoelFridayTV, or go directly to the YouTube live chat. Hit the super chat button there, and I'll read your question or comments live on air. All right? 2 hours with JFTV, kinda. 1 hour with Hake and 1 hour with JFTV. So we got 2 hours today, but this will be my last hour of JFTV, if I'm making sense here. If I'm making sense. But with that being said, what's today? Today's Monday. What does that mean? Grace and Mercy Monday. We get into that spirituality, faith-based, God-like talk. Child of God, scripture. We go to church on Mondays. That's what we do. We go to church on Mondays, okay? I have some stuff I want to share with you guys here. And I have an appetizer, I have the full course, and I have some dessert for you guys today. All right, a little bit extra on there. I threw a little dessert in there. Who doesn't like a good dessert? We got an appetizer, full course meal, and the dessert at the end for you on JFTV. All right, so that means we're getting into it today, and we got to do it. So you can call in as well, and I'll get your super chats as well. Let's jump into it with a little appetizer. A little news to start off the show. Joe Biden has, according to reports, prostate cancer. Also, according to a tweet, he has cancer as well. And we wish him well, of course. No ill will toward even your enemies. That's you don't want to wish ill will on anybody. You want to let God's will be done on everybody. So we wish Joe Biden well, but I just thought it was interesting because imagine Joe Biden was in office again, right? Imagine Joe Biden was still in office. Well, I know Kamala was the next choice, but imagine, because originally Biden was supposed to go a full 8. Even though everybody knew he was old, even though everybody knew he was slow, we all knew that it was evident and was real, but people were pretending like it wasn't so, right? And I think it's because the hatred of Trump was so heavy that they'll take anybody, even if the country was at risk, instead of Trump, right? So they took Biden in, Biden being very old. Now, Biden and Trump are not that different in age, not that many years. I think like 4 or 5 years difference, but two different type of health, two totally different type of shape. You know what I mean? And Biden was old in office. We seen Biden moving in the office. We see him talking, and he looked bad, real bad. And people would just back him up and still defend him and do all that stuff. But it was looking bad. And they would go on the shows. Even his wife, Jill, would go on the shows and lie and pretend like Joe was in good health. We can see it. Evident, just apparent. And I just wonder what they would say. How would they go about this information if he was president and it was told that he had cancer? How would they dress it up? I wonder. But nonetheless, we wish Joe Biden well. He's an old man, and I don't dislike Biden at all. I think he's kind of a funny guy, as far as like the things he believes, kind of crazy. Right? I don't know him personally, so I can't say I don't agree with nothing he says, but a lot of those things that he was into just didn't make sense to me. But he seemed to be a funny guy, old school type of vibe. Can still be silly and conversational, even though he got the weight of the world on his shoulders as a president. And I thought it was kind of cool even when he put President Trump's hat on as a joke, right? I thought that was kind of funny and kind of like just normal. So I don't think, we don't wish anybody ill will, but I just thought it would be interesting how they would dress up maybe politically this thing, because everything is political. Everything is a twist, a turn, a flip. But this news is also not crazy surprising. Again, but he was old and not doing well. So we wish Biden well, and we hope that the presidency and the overexertion didn't add to his diagnosis. But you never know. That's my news. That's the appetizer. But how it relates a little bit to my message today is that we have to forgive, then we got to live, or we lie and we die. Now that sounds churchy, probably a little fluffy, probably a little, come on, Joel. But let me just roll it out, okay? Let me roll it out, because I'm realizing in my own life, for me, in my personal life, what has made sense to me. I don't know, it may be different for you. So think for yourself and know for yourself. Don't just believe me. Learn and know and grow for yourself. Find God on your own. Find what makes sense to you. And you learn and decide if this is right or, improper. But I think that when we forgive, we must forgive. The first thing that I think everybody has to do if they want to overcome and find peace and learn and grow and find themselves and the whole nine, is that you must first forgive. That's the first thing. I'm grateful that Jesse Lee Peterson and Bond gave me that, right? By way of God, of course. And when that was introduced to me, I was already kind of in the process of growing and learning. My life was already changing for me. But what kind of like really sped up the momentum was when I forgave. And when I forgave, it did change stuff in me, right? My it took my just my resentment towards my parents away. And oftentimes, for those who are tuning in for the first time, maybe not familiar with Bond message, oftentimes our anger and our hatred comes from our parents, because the parents' responsibility as parents and as you're a child, they're supposed to raise you in the right way, give you the tools to overcome, because Satan is constantly on the mind and ready to deceive even your children. So it's the parents' duty and responsibility to raise the children in the right way so they have the tools to go out in the world and be independent, right? But oftentimes it doesn't happen because parents are messed up because of their parents and their parents and their parents. And we understand that everybody's just jacked up, confused, lost, scared, hurt, and broken, blind and can't see. So we must forgive them because they know not what they do, right? When we do that, then we let go of all the past issues that our parents put upon us that created our personalities and allowed us to look at life through a specific lens, like a blurred lens and all that stuff. We forgive them for that because they're the reasons why, a big part of the reason why we are the way we are in our mess, right? So forgiveness is how you let that go. And what happens when you forgive, from my experience, this is what happened to me, is that now you can see a little bit more. You see more, right? Right. The conflict, so much of the hate and the anger is not in the way, right? And to me, it wasn't completely gone. It didn't vanish for me. But what it did was it made more room for the spirit to see. And I woke up more. I can see clear, and things started really making sense. So forgiveness was that first step for me. But then I realized after forgiveness, this is what I wanted to speak on today, is that this is what I believe to be true. I think that you ought to now live. What does live mean? Live to me is be free. Do what you want. Consciously. Consciously. What does that mean? What does consciously mean, for one? That means that you are aware of your behavior and you're honest about your behavior, right? Because just because we forgive, and I'll speak for me, I can't speak for anybody else. When I forgave, I still had issues. My issue was still there, except I could recognize them a little bit clearer, right? I didn't have so much anger and so much conflict that were in the way, but I still had my issues. So I still had to watch my thoughts, of course, and still had to deal with these issues. But what happened is that I wasn't free. I wasn't being free, right? And free, it to me is not having any attachment or boundary or judgment about anything that you do, right? You're just living life and learning on the way, right? You're seeing what works, what doesn't work. You're discovering. What I had was fear of the consequence. So I was avoiding things due to fear, not due to me just living life and experiencing on the way, because I was afraid of what might happen, where I might end up, what I might catch, what I might, right? So I had fear. But that very fear is what drove me to want to do all these things, because I had this resistance against my desire. You know what I'm saying? And that resistance against my desire, that pushing away my desire, that all that stuff was just vain pursuit. It was just me trying to be a good person, not because I genuinely didn't want to do them. So I wasn't free. I wasn't free to live life. And I think that we should live life freely. Do what you want. Consciously. Stay aware and honest of your behavior. And in result of that, when you're conscious, what happens is then God can break you and rebuild you. He got to break you. Because we're so caught up in our stuff, we're so caught up in our mess, we're so tied to it that it's hard to break away. And we're taught in the church that we're sinners if we do this, and that we're going to hell, and so we live in fear. But I found that when I've lived my life freely, that when things have stopped, certain vices in my life have changed, is it because I had to die to them by hitting a wall or having a revelation or whatever it may be, but it had to happen in a real way, not for some sake of, because the Bible said it. You got to let God break you so he can change you. And when we're afraid, We ain't free. So I feel like you forgive and then you go live in consciousness. So whatever you find yourself getting into, whatever that may be, sex, drugs, alcohol, rock and roll, whatever it may be, you're aware of your behavior and you're learning, right? You're getting to know yourself. You're understanding why you like this, why you're driven to do this, why you have these interests, right? And God will protect you because you're doing it in consciousness. He'll protect you. You have nothing to fear. But what he's also going to do, he's going to break you. But we got to let him. Because avoiding certain things, maybe there's a time to avoid certain things. I don't know, right? But what I'm saying is that trying so hard not to isn't going to take it away. You got to be delivered. And everything that I've been delivered from, and I'm looking back on my life, is because I had to crash and burn. It had to break me a little bit. And not in a way like, oh my God, I can't live no more. I'm depressed. No, it's just like a little gut check. Like it hurts a little bit, but but it's like, it toughens you up. You know that you needed that. Man, I needed that. Thank you, God. Man, I need that little gut punch. Man, that sucked. It came out of nowhere, but man, thank you. I'm grateful for it. Because what happens is that you see the truth. And now you're just like, you have you lose your taste for it. That is deliverance to me. Not running away. If I'm making sense. So that's those two things. Forgive and live. And I'm going to tell you guys what happens when you don't. When you lie and you die. I experienced this too. Oh, I experienced it. When you lie and you die. Okay? For one, when you lie, it's, like I mentioned, false obedience out of fear. But when you're in denial or oblivious to yourself, right? Your behavior. When you're in denial is probably the worst thing you can be, right? Denial of your current state of being. Maybe for the sake of wanting to be free, but can't accept that you're not. Maybe for the sake of digging into those dark secrets and thoughts in your mind that you've done or your traumas. You're afraid to maybe do it, so you avoid it. That could be it too. But denial of it does not set you free. It's probably the worst thing you can do. Why? Because that's when Satan can use you. God can't set you free. And then there's being oblivious to it, right? Just caught up on a high horse and didn't really know what was going on and kind of just acting silly. And I did that too. And that's most men in the chat. Oh, I said it. Most men in the chat just in the lie. Tending to be alpha bro, but a alpha hoe. And I was there. I was there too. I did it. So that's how I could recognize it too. Y'all be thinking you so alpha and be bait all over it. And pretend in the chat like you're alpha. I understand. I ain't mad at you for it. But when you do that, you're not recognizing how beta you actually are. Because that's what I was doing. But the difference is now that I can admit to when I'm beta. Most of you guys will not admit when you guys are being or beta. You're too afraid to admit you're beta because you want to be so alpha so desperately so bad. So you lie and you pretend and you order people around, you boss them around, and you talk mess and you get your thrills off in chat. I understand. But it's beta. So I encourage you to look in the mirror because at the end of it, it's just more mess. You're going to ruin relationships. You're going to meet someone that you get along with, but you're going to ruin that and it ain't going to work. And you're going to be ticked. But the good thing about it is that's when you wake up. You see the truth. But I'm trying to warn you against it. So maybe you don't got to come to that. But sometime it take that to get you out the way. And those who stay in denial, all kind of hell comes because God, you won't let God in. And I'm not speaking on chat right now specifically. I'm just saying in general what denial does. It keep God out and put the devil in. And then you die. You get all diseases, cancer, all this type of stuff. And sometimes those things need to happen to wake people up, though. So I ain't saying it's a bad thing, but I'm just saying it be like that. So I just recommend that people just be honest, be real. Be real. It ain't a game. Joel focused on the snake pit. No, it ain't about focus on the snake pit. I love the snake pit. But I thought if we're fellowshipping, you know what I mean? If we're holding each other, if we're holding brothers accountable, sisters in Christ holding sisters accountable in Christ, we got to be real. Got to be real. Because, I mean, chat's real with us. People are real with other people. Hate is real with against other people. Oh, hate gets real. So it's just being honest. So forgive and live and be free. Enjoy life, but consciously, and you'll stay out of trouble. I'm telling you, if you're conscious, you'll still, maybe dabble in things that aren't necessarily helpful or aren't necessarily like beneficial for your life or bear fruit. You may dabble into these things, but because you're conscious, God is with you. He's not going to let you get lost in it. And you'll learn a lesson so you can overcome this stuff. But you cannot overcome if we're afraid to step in. You know what I mean? And it's for myself too, message for myself. You got to let God break you so he can change you. Let him break you so he can change you. Or stay in the lie and die. Anyway, let me get to some super chats real quick, and then we'll see what's up. Let me go here real quick. Interesting stuff. Let me see.
I go back then being nosy.
Whoa. Chill, bro. Give me a second, guys. I'm pulling up the super chats here. Making it work. Okay. Nice. We got Kelly. I won't say her last name. For one, I don't know how to say it and not to dox. Forgiveness is divine, says Kelly with the donut. Thank you, Kelly. Right on. You're right. That's true. Can't dispute. Forgiveness is divine. Okay. Eric Harlan says consciousness has two parts. Number one, aware of environment. Number two, responding to environment. Most people are aware of their environment, but they're responding to the thoughts of the past, future, and ego. Thus, most people are unconscious. Anger is holding on to a story of the past, which attaches you to your imagination, eliminating your ability to be conscious. That's a good point. You must forgive everyone and love everyone to be consciously living. I agree. You must forgive everybody and love everyone to be actually living. And boy, that's hard to do. To actually love, right? Because you got to understand it and then you got to live it. But one thing I have to push back on, Eric, even though you're a smart man, smart man, is responding to environment. Most people are aware of their environment, but they're responding to the thoughts of the past, future, and ego. What my message is today is that respond to them. Right? And you can even respond to the desires in consciousness, meaning you're aware of your pursuit. And I think that has a far greater result than you trying to deny the thought, deny this, deny that, deny. What that does is create stress, pressure, conflict, fear. And what does that do? Feeding the desire. Not taking it away, feeding the desire. And it make you want to do it more and 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 more. And if you let go and not judge it as wrong to experience life in all aspects, then you may do it a lot less and you may overcome it actually. So I'm just saying, live. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to live. Salvation is of the heart. God knows the heart. It's not of the deeds or the actions. Those will change once the heart change and the mind is renewed. Making sense or no? But I appreciate it, Eric. Still, good points. This is from the other day. Eric says, women can't be honest. Eric be going in on the women. But he love y'all. It's all love. Women can't be honest because publicly losing virtue threatens their survival. What's the day for today? Oh, wait, this is from today. Women can't be honest because publicly losing virtue threatens their survival. They're born with their value. They never gain value. It's interesting. They try to maintain value. They have two choices. Be a good girl or lie. Excuse me. Be a good girl or lie. Most women aren't good girls, so they have to lie. That's why women make themselves into victims, because it preserves virtue. Interesting. That's an interesting point, Eric. In referring to Cassie and the Diddy trial, is that a woman's virtue is beauty, fertility, and innocence, right? And purity. Beauty, purity, and fertility, right? That's what makes them attractive to men, right? We know that they're children of God. We know that they have a spirit and that as well. But what makes them attractive to God is that too. But those things come from God. So when a woman almost exploits those things, Eric is saying that she has to lie to protect that innocence, right? Because she can't lose what makes her attractive. And women deep down know that. That's what's interesting. Even though they don't know themselves or know their design, they know deep down that this is just not natural for me, right? So what happens is that they'll lie and be in denial about their behavior because it's such an opposition to how they are designed. So they have to lie. And I understand that because it is like a very off-putting when a woman is a certain way, right? It's very off-putting to a man, but honesty is the only way. Honesty is the only way. And women are judged probably more, as a matter of fact, women are probably judged more than men to some degree because of the fact that today they are not in their natural state. And it's you also can see problems and issues and vices on a woman a lot quicker than you can see them on a man, right? Because men can get away with having ego. It's not good, but they can get away with having ego. Why? Because it makes them look a little more attractive, right? Sexy and tough. But put that on a woman and it makes her look unattractive to some, right? Guys still love it. But it makes her look tough and rough and promiscuous. And guys know deep down that they don't want to bring that home to mom. They don't want that raising their children. They'll take it and they'll still do it, right? For selfish reasons. But they know deep down that it's not right here. So, yeah, maybe women are expected to be a certain way, which puts a lot of pressure on them. But at the end of the day, are you going to be honest or are you going to lie? That's it. Because at the end of your soul and your salvation is on the line. Ain't nobody else's. As hard as it may be, that's the reality. So that's that. Eric goes on to say, I'm saying they're emotionally responding to thoughts of the past, future, and ego. They're subjectively perceiving thoughts, which keeps them in hell of their imagination. Objective perception of thought eliminates all suffering. Oh, interesting. They're subjectively perceiving thoughts, which keeps them in hell of their imagination. Objective perception of thoughts is eliminating. So when you're truly observing your thoughts, you're eliminating the attachment to it. But when you have feelings or opinions about your thoughts of right and wrong, or is this bad or good? Do I like this? Do I don't? And that's a good point. Then you become subject to thoughts. That's a good point. Anyway, Interesting stuff. Okay, let's get to. I got some dessert for you guys. And you can call in 888-775-3773, 888-775-3773. I got some dessert for you guys. Okay. Is last week, I went on the Jesse Lee Peterson show with the experts. Oh, it's sweet, Mark. And we discussed Donald Trump letting in South Africans, 59, I believe, 49 or 59 South Africans in the state under like a refugee type of, I don't know what to call it. A refugee ticket or something. And there is backlash because the South Africans are white. And the blacks are like, what the? You gonna let the whites in and deny all the other people, but you're gonna let the white South Africans in, the asylum seekers, but not anybody else? Blacks were ticked. But mind you, the blacks tick about everything, so we don't want to take too much, hold too much gravity to this dispute. But nonetheless, it's a fair criticism. Like, wait, I thought we were closing borders, but now we're opening them to this group. Now, mind you, to keep in mind that the South Africa is ran by an African government, black, and they, according to reports, according to the stories, according to interviews done on Jesse Lee Peterson's show, there are white South Africaners who are being killed and R-worded, and their houses being stolen, their land being taken, they're brutalized. And there's also interviews of people saying that they want to kill the whites for whatever reason they have in mind. So the whites are being targeted in South Africa and killed. So they're trying to escape their lives to live a normal life. And they run to America, and Trump says, okay, bet. We're going to let 59 in. 59 of in. We're going to vet them properly. We're going to get them right. We're going to make sure they're not killers and drug dealers or gang members. We're going to make sure they're coming in here and they're truly going to assimilate, right? And listen, when it comes to my opinion, I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm not against that at all. Do you, Trump? You the president. I like Trump. I think he's a real guy. So if he feels like that's the right thing to do, then hey, do it. Because in my mind, my belief, there's always exceptions to the rule. You don't let anybody in because there could be gang members, criminals, and then they're doing it illegal, coming through the right way. Do it properly. Yes, right? But there's always exceptions to the rule. So I'm going to give the exception, let's just say, to the South Africaners, right? Fair enough. Listen, I'm not against that. Never was, never changed my view on it. That has been my view since last week. But here's my thing, is that if there's going to be exceptions to the rule, let there be exceptions to the rule, right? Because if we're going to go up here and deny that there's other people in the world who are not fleeing a corrupt government, fleeing a corrupt country, fleeing a corrupt situation, town, city, whatever, but deny them at the border, we're not being honest. And I'm not saying that that's even happening. I'm just saying that keep that same energy is what I'm saying. Keep that same energy. And don't let it be about color. I don't want to hear Trump administration. I don't want to hear the government talking about white nothing. I don't want to hear that. Keep that same energy. Right? Because there are other people, there are other exceptions to the rule in the world. There are. Right? And maybe they just haven't made their way to the president's desk for the president to be like, oh, you know what? There are exceptions. Let's bring them in too. Maybe so. That's why I'm not discrediting. But I'm just saying, I hope Trump keeps that same energy. Why? Because what has been the talk? Close the border, close the border, close the border, close the borders. I'm with that too. Close them, close them. America first, America first, America first. That's the language. And I'm with that too. But if that's the case, keep that energy. My point always has been, keep the energy across the board. I love exceptions. You guys know my show. You know me. I love exceptions to the rule. Exceptions to the rule are my favorite things. I love exceptions to the rule. So I'm cool with it. But make sure it's exceptions to the rule across the board. Don't pick and choose. Don't pay favoritism. Make that then. Or close the border up. Don't let any of them in. Either way, stand on the business that you came out with and stand on it. And if you're wrong, you made a mistake, then stand on that too and be like, listen, we got to let some people in. Stand on it. But when I hear this, when I'm hearing it because it's about white people and that white people are responsible and that we got to let them in because they're white and that they might not, I hope that they are going to do the right thing because they're white. And I respect everybody's opinion. That's fine. Everybody has a right to believe what they want to believe. And they believe that to be true. And I'm totally cool with that, right? I'm totally fine with that. I believe some things. Sometimes they ain't on point. Sometimes they are. But either way, I stand on it because that's what I believe to be true. So I respect everybody who stand on what they believe to be true. But all I'm saying is that, from my view, is that take the color out of it and just let it be what it is. Let it be what it is. These people need help. Let them in. Let the boys in and the ladies. Let them in. They need help and they really actually need it. And I believe that South Africans may actually need it. Then we wanna let them in. Woo, woo, woo. But hold up. I got a phone call. Hold up. The Venezuelans say they also are on the run. Some of them, right? A few of them, about 59 of them are on the run. And they're telling me that they got a corrupt government. They got MS-13. They got A, B, and C. And they're a genuine family. And they don't have papers. But they're decent. And they want to come to America and assimilate. What are we going to do with them? They're on hold. What are we going to do with them? What should I tell them? What do I tell them? What do I tell them? They need help too. What do I tell them? I'm just saying, Mr. President, I hope that you're telling them the same thing you're telling them. That's all I'm saying. That's all I've been saying. That's all I'm saying. So that's still my stance. And that's just what it is. And I've yet to be convinced otherwise. Let me see what the callers got to say about it. I got 2 minutes. Let me go to real quick. Is this the same Wayne that I got on? I think you talked to Wayne already. Oh, okay, let me go to Robert out of Kansas. You said what? That was Hate Report. Oh, okay. Let me go to Robert out of Kansas. Robert, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Hey, Joel, 2 minutes, bro. Dang. Let's see. So you had a caller, I think the Hate Report. He was talking about how it's become illegal to be a man in America.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is one of the critical understanding for people to realize how we got to where we are in America. When I was younger in the military, I got to live all over the world, and I saw different gradients where men still it was still legal to be a man. So like in East Asia, it was a little bit better. And then like in the Middle East, men still had all of their rights intact. One of the main ways they take away men's rights is they give rights to women. So in like the 1950s, a woman couldn't just divorce you, right? She had no legal power to do so. And that changed. And now you have a ridiculous divorce rate.
Yeah.
Other things, too, like the natural interactions between men and women. There's very natural things that happen.
Yeah.
So, for instance, like domestic violence. If you're around somebody all the time, eventually you're going to get in an argument, you're going to get in a fight. And it used to be that if a man had to, he could, beat his woman because she needed to be beat. Same thing with his kids or whatever. Now, they've turned that into a crime. But that is the natural authority of a husband and father, is to have the supremacy, whether that be knowledge authority, physical authority, whatever, to say this is how things are going to be. So they take away that natural interaction. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Well, let me just say really quick, because I'm like super out of time, is that like, I think you make an interesting point, is that there was like an authority that was given to a man, and the state and the laws left it up to the man to handle his own affairs the way he saw fit, right? And I agree with that. I do think that that's how it should be. The government has no right to tell me how I should do certain things. But where I think that failed is because men failed. Men started to get weak, and they start to get out of hand. Now, some laws are silly and unjustifiable, and they're due to feminist stuff and silly stuff. But certain things like men beating their women, I don't think that it never even needs to come to that place where a man needs to even lay his hand on a woman unless she gets out of control, hits him, he has to sustain her, whatever. There's probably exceptions. Yeah. But for a man shouldn't, it should never, if he has real authority, I don't see how it goes past his authority in him having to raise his hand. Having to raise his hand, to me, feels like a lack of authority. So if men have to do that and they have to beat there's something that's missing in them, and then that means they're angry. So if they're angry, they're out of control. And maybe that's part of the reason why those laws, certain laws, went against them.
In terms of the laws, Joel, how it has destroyed our country is that you do not have to hit a woman if she knows that you can, legally. You will never have to hit one then. And also in terms of violence towards women, what we have to realize in terms of human psychology, all animal psychology, really, if you look at nature, it's very rapey, okay? Yeah. You have to be able to run a female down, so you got to be able to run faster than her. Yeah. And you have to be strong enough to hold her down in order to mate with her. Now, when women are going to mate with a man, you know what the one thing they subconsciously desire the most is to be physically dominated. And I don't mean just held down. I mean shown that you are capable of absolute physical domination of her, and that allows her in a very deep, primal, almost reptilian way
You're
mate
not
with that
wrong.
man.
You're not wrong
Yeah.
on that. You're not
So
wrong
they
on that.
want-
I just think that the only thing that I would disagree with is the extent, the extremity of what you're describing, in the sense that like it has to come down to her physically seeing by a actual harmful situation to where you actually hit her or whatever. If it has to get to that, then she is in a crazy mindset. He's in a crazy mindset. She should already see that just by his authority. He'll flex his authority, and it's not even him trying to flex it, but he'll flex his authority, and that'll be shown on its own. But Robert, this is such a good conversation. I wish we could really get into details. I wish I would have got to you sooner. But if you can call me back sometime during the week, if it makes sense for you or whatever, and let's pick up on this because it's such a good convo. I just got to go right now.
Yes, sir. Thanks for taking my call, Joel. Have a good day, brother. Bye-bye.
All right, man. I got to end like super end. Way past time. American Egg Break's coming in. I got to go. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys. Bye.